Video, I will be discussing my updated 2024 Senate prediction as of April 29th of 2022. So let's get right into today's prediction. Now let's start with the safe Democratic states. We have California, New York, Massachusetts, the state of Rhode Island, the state of Connecticut, the state of Maryland, and the state of Delaware, and the state of Hawaii. So that does give the Democrats 8 seats. We don't really have the results yet because the 2022 Senate elections haven't happened, so we don't know exactly how much Democratic seats there will be not up for re-election and how much Republican seats there will be to not be up for re-election. So for the safe Republican states, we have Utah, Wyoming, Nebraska, North Dakota, Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Indiana. So interestingly enough, Missouri, Indiana, and North Dakota were all states that flipped towards the Republican Party in the 2018 Senate elections. So yeah, they all had Democratic incumbents, but the Democratic incumbents all lost by a likely margin. So this basically concludes for my safe states for the Democrats and the Republicans. Now let's move on to the independents. There will be 2 Senate races here, the state of Maine and the state of Vermont. We know Bernie Sanders is going to win. There's no problem there. For Maine, the Democrats may split up a little bit of the vote, but Angus King last time around won by 19. I don't think he's going to lose at all whatsoever. So yeah, those are the states I'm going to fill in for the independents. And of course, they will only gain 2 seats, even towards the end of this map here. So for the likely states for the Democrats, I have Washington. I did leave the state out because it only went to the Democrats by 17 points, but definitely the Democrats are still going to win the state. Similarly, in the state of New Mexico, it was actually 25 points for the Democrats last election, but Gary Johnson, the third-party candidate, got 15% of the vote. That would have otherwise likely gone to the Republicans. So yeah, now let's go to New Jersey. New Jersey with the Democrats. Obama Denzels, I believe, isn't super popular. He was expected to win by lesser of a margin, but it was 2018 and he was able to win by 11.2 points. I think the race will stay about 10 points or so. The national environment will be less favorable for him, but this race will be still much less discussed about, so he should be able to win re-election. So yeah, that is another likely state. Another likely state I do have for the Democratic Party is Virginia with Tim Kaine. He won by 16. I think the margin will be a little bit narrower, but he should be able to win re-election. Similarly, in Minnesota, the state is slightly trending Republican. Amy Klobuchar won by 24 points, but given that there are more polarization, she's likely going to be doing far worse in a lot of these counties. He's still going to win. She's still going to win by over 10 points, but it's not going to be as solid of a victory. Now let's go to the likely states for the Republican Party. And those states include the states of, first off, the state of Texas, with the incumbent Republican being Ted Cruz. He defeated Beto O'Rourke by just 2.6 points. That being said, Beto O'Rourke was a great candidate, and I think on a lot of issues, such as gun control, he has been more harsh, and that's going to hurt him if he wants to run for this Senate race in 2024. And yeah, and also the national environment is just not going to be on his side unlike in 2018. Another state I do have in the likely Republican column is the state of Florida. I do have this in the likely Republican column as well. Look at the state of Florida. It was held by Bill Nelson before the election. Bill Nelson was expected to win by 34 points. He ended up losing the race by just 10,000 votes. It was another exceptionally close Florida race, and Democrats haven't had much luck in the state of Florida ever since, so it does look like the Democrats are going to end up losing Florida by a margin of over 5 points yet again. So yeah, now look at this map right now. We still haven't had any flips, but we're going to have some more flips going into the lean Republican states. And let's start with the lean Democratic states. Honestly speaking, there aren't really a lot. Look at a lot of these states here. We don't really see much states I consider that will be likely for the Democratic Party lean for the Democratic Party yet again. The state that I will consider is the state of Pennsylvania, with Bob Casey in the state winning by 30 points against Lou Barletta, the likely 2022 Republican governor nominee who is likely going to win the general election. But that's beside the point, though. Now, it is interesting to say that on the governor's level, let me pull it up to 2018. Just wait for a couple of seconds. The state went to Tom Wolf by 17.1%, so that definitely did benefit him down ballot, but still, he's very likely going to end up winning this race. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, and then we go to some other races here. I don't think Wisconsin will be a lead margin for the Democrats. I don't think Michigan will be a lead margin for the Democrats. And so yeah, that's going to be the only lean state for the Democratic Party. Going to some other states here. For the Republican Party, they will obviously have a few flips here. West Virginia, I'm a little bit conflicted of polling it as lean or likely. The recent polling has showed the Democrats, even a Republican internal, had the Democrat Joe Manchin ahead of the Republican candidate. But I'm not sure if that's going to hold true come the general election. And Donald Trump will, of course, be campaigning against Joe Manchin. And he's probably still going to lose because the state of West Virginia is, of course, the state of West Virginia. We all know how the state will vote. Now, this is, I think, the first change in characterization. I put it as safe in the last prediction. But as time goes on, I realize the Democrats are likely going to do better than I expected. So I'm going to put it as likely. Probably going to go to the Republican challenger by 7-8 points. Now, going to the next state. The neighboring state of Ohio, I do have this state as lean for the Democratic Party. Now, Sherrod Brown is a pretty good candidate. He is very good at basically winning a lot of working class voters, and he won in the state by 7 points. That being said, I don't think it's going to be enough to give him the victory, especially on a presidential election year. That's also what happened to Joe Manchin. If he's not on a presidential election year ballot, he would have won, I think, in 2024. But unfortunately for him, it is a presidential election, and that's why he's going to lose. Now, going to the next state, the state of Montana only went to Jon Tester by 3.4 points. In fact, he was in a fight for his life the first time he was elected. So yeah, Tester was elected by 0.88 points, and then he won by 0.37 points, and he again won by 3.6 points. So he was in a fight for his life the first day he came into office. And I think this time around he's going to lose. He's not the candidate to appeal to the state of Montana. So that's going to give the Republicans the state of Montana by a lead margin. Finally, I do have Kyrsten Sinema losing her seat again as well, because Democrats and Republicans are just not gonna, both doesn't like him. Like, as harsh as it might seem, Republicans may approve of her, but they're not gonna vote for her. And she might be a primary out anyway, in which the Democrats, they don't have the incumbency advantage, which matters a lot in statewide elections. So regardless, I do think this race will be lean for the Republican Party. Now, going to the final three races here, these are going to be the closest in my opinion, but I think by this point, the Republicans would have won the majority of already, as they have been able to flip the states of Ohio, West Virginia, Montana, and the state of Arizona. I'm going to start off by giving Michigan towards the Democrats. I think Michigan, although on the presidential level, will likely go to Donald Trump or any Republican candidate. I think the Democrats will narrowly pull that off. As the Democratic incumbent there is relatively popular and really nothing against her, and she won by 7 points. Similarly, in the state of Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin won by 11 points. So, looking at this county map, it's still very impressive. She did pretty well in the wild counties and the counties surrounding the Iowa area and Minnesota. So, that should help her win re-election. I'm going to give it as a tilt towards the Democratic Party. Now going to Nevada, this is going to be contested. The Democrats won the seat by 5 points. That being said, it was a D+8 national environment. So doing the math there, I will give that state towards the Republicans, given that they have shifted the state relatively towards the right, and that's why I'm going to put it as tilt Republican. So it's going to be 15-16 to 2. the two independent senators, of course, will caucus with the Democrats. So it's really 15-18. That being said, this is still going to be a pretty disastrous election for the Democrats. They would have lost Montana, Nevada, Arizona, Ohio, and West Virginia. Thanks for watching today's video. Be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye!